What's up, everybody, and welcome back to A Beer a Day with TK. It is a beautiful fall day here in Findlay, Ohio, and I'm hanging out in the beer shed, getting ready to check out a new beer. Now, yesterday was AistearCon. Now, Aistear is a brewery in Bowling Green, Ohio. It's one of my favorite breweries in Ohio, and honestly, one of my favorite breweries around, just because these guys have giant balls and try to do beers that most other people wouldn't, and I really appreciate that. You can only drink so many IPAs and so many boring beers before you want to see something different. And every year for their AistearCon, which is essentially a mini convention where you can go and buy stuff, they'll sell, they'll have live games of Dungeons and Dragons, and in the back room they have people selling artwork, they have people selling fantasy-inspired kind of gaming stuff, so you can buy, like the multi-sided dice and things like that for games. I actually picked up a pretty cool picture this year of a cryptoid, and it was artwork by a young man who made all these pictures and framed them and sold them, and I thought it was a pretty cool picture, so I picked one up. Every year I try to buy something at the event just to kind of support the artists, and it's also awesome to go through and see whatever beers that they put on for this event. So last year they did 8 beers, and they were all dragon inspired, and I think I did one of the reviews on one of those. This year they did them all, and they were kind of Halloween inspired, so there was like Frankenstein, Wolfman, different beers with Halloween inspired names. And the beer I'm going to do today is called the Blob. Now, there were 2 beers that I really liked out of the 8. Now, they were all pretty solid, but 2 of them I thought were the best. One was called Frankenstein, which was like a smoky, chocolatey stout, which was super good, but I've had enough stout, so I figured I would switch it up and try something different. Video-wise, and this is called the Blob, and this is a sour. Now, what's kind of unique about this is usually when you get sours, they tend to be raspberry or different kind of fruits. This is just a plain old sour. It's not fruit inspired. I think it's just supposed to be like a sour version of one of their blondes. Now, I've had a beer like that once before, and I've had a few over the years, but one that really stood out to me. And I can't remember for the life of me who made it. It might have been Leifman's or Leafman's, something like that. It was a Belgian brewery that did it, and it was just a sour, not a raspberry sour or fruited sour or apple cherry, just straight up a sour, like a sour blonde, which I quite liked, and I thought it was cool because you just tasted the sourness itself. Now, I talked to the brewers yesterday and asked, was this a fruit one or whatever? And he said, nope, just try to do a plain old sour to see how it stacks up. So, pretty excited to give it a shot. This is 5.1% ABV. Looks like it says 50 IBUs, and this was canned 10/21/23, which was yesterday, by my main man, Jacob. So, Jacob, thank you for hooking this up. Also worth noting, if you're a fan of Aistear, if you're in the BG area, you have the Adventure Club. I signed up, it was $100 for the first year, and then the renewal is only $50. If you sign up, you get discounts on beer, you get invited to special members-only events, you get discounts on merch and takeaway beer, which is pretty good for me, because my son goes to school at Bowling Green, so usually I go up there and have a couple beers, but I can't get too mangled because I got to drive home. So the discounts on takeaway beer is quite welcome. So let's give this one a shot here and see what we have. And try to see if I have any other info on it. And I really don't. I don't even think this beer was entered on Untappd yet when I went there yesterday. So if they haven't entered them by today, I'll probably do so. Look at that. So, first things first. Let's check this bad boy out. This is pretty opaque. I cannot see through this. Try to hold it up to the light, see if I can see anything floating around. And I really don't. Even with the head. The head was kind of like, there's a very thin, fish-eyed kind of khaki head, but not much else going on. Now, if you drink sours pretty regularly, you usually don't get much of a head on them, and if you do, it goes whoosh in about 0.10 seconds. So this is kind of what I'd expect to see so far. Color-wise, I break out my Brew HQ chart. I don't know, it's probably down there in this deep amber side, if I had to guess. Again, the lighting in here is a bit weird. It's kind of interesting. If I hold it up this way, the light's coming in from outside, it looks lighter, where if I hold it over here, it's a little darker. I would probably say maybe like a 14 or so. It's a nice amber color to it. Let's give it a sniff, see what we pick up. I was going to pour some more in, but I don't think it'll fit. I'm going to my actual Aistear glass. So branded glass. Funky. Picking up some nice funk here. Now, if you watch these videos, you know that I quite enjoy sours. The one thing that I despise is when breweries call something a sour that is not indeed sour. There is a difference between tart and sour. They're not the same thing. So just because you threw a strawberry in there or a raspberry and it's got a tiny bit of fruit tartness does not make it a sour. Let me repeat it. It does not make it a sour. I want my sours to be lip puckering. I want them to actually be sour, not just, there's a bit of fruit, slight bit of tartness. So I'm hoping to God this delivers and comes through. If I know anything about my boys at Aistear, they know what they're doing. They don't play around. I suspect this will deliver. So let's give it a shot. Hey, congratulations on, was it 4 years now, I believe. I think my third video ever was filmed at Aistear. I mispronounced it. It was terrible. My friend shot it across the table while we drank the beer. But it was my first time there, and I've been back many times since. So cheers, guys. Wow. Funky. Funky, funky, funky. I not only did my lips pucker, I think my left eye closed when I drank that one. That is proper sour. If there's other brewers out there that want to see what a sour tastes like, try this thing. Okay? Sour, again, you know what's funny? I'm not a huge sour fan when it comes to food and all that kind of stuff, or even candies. You know, people like Sour Patch Kids and sour candies. I really don't care for that. But I do for some, I don't know why, some unbeknownst reason, I absolutely love sour beers, especially if you get like a nice Belgian sour beer. This is on par with some of those. Now, I don't think the guys at Aistear would mind if I said the Belgian one was better. It's probably one of the best beers I've ever had. This is in the same rarefied air. They've actually done exactly what they designed to do here. They made a sour. You get a little bit of that, you know, you taste like the base, which is, I guess, the blonde there in the background. So you get that little bit of maltiness and breadiness, but that nice funky sourness comes over. So for the first time in ages, I'm actually going to give a beer a Biz Marquee. The Biz was one of my favorite rappers all time, and if you know anything about the Biz, he is funky. He is the definition, the epitome of funky. So when a beer is proper funky, they get a Biz, this gets a Biz, and it's the first one in ages. I've had a bunch of sours in the last year or so, and most of them, they're not sour, man. They just throw in that word on the can because they don't know what else to do. This is proper. Body-wise, relatively light body. I would say medium, but on the low end of medium. Again, you get a little bit of the bready backbone as you would from, like, you know, just kind of like a blonde or something like that. But I think what delivers is just that nice sourness. You pick up what's it called? The bacteria or whatever they use, the basilicus or whatever the heck it is, the lactobacillus or whatever that kind of does all this funkiness in the beers. And I think it tastes magnificent. So I think these guys are really hitting it out of the park. I also appreciate the fact that it wasn't a fruit one. Now, look, I do dig fruit sours, but they tend to focus more on the fruit bit as opposed to just the sour aspect of the beer, where this is just celebrating that. It's saying we don't need cherries, we don't need raspberries, they don't need the fruit to kind of accompany it. Don't get me wrong, it's nice sometimes, but sometimes it's nice to just taste the base beer with the funkiness, and I think they knocked it out of the park with this. Now, trying to think back to the beers I had yesterday, I did a double flight, which I think they're calling the Van Helsing flight, and it was $20. And if you haven't seen them, I'll throw a picture up. Their flights come on a battle axe, which is pretty sweet. And when they give you the cups, there are 4 cups, kind of like halfway full. They're not just some thimble. Some of these breweries you go to, man, they give you like this much beer. And I just think, you know, you could sniff it and breathe that in. Like, I want a proper amount of beer to properly taste it, and they did that. So I tried a bunch of the beers they had, and the ones that really stood out, the Frankenstein was really good. This was really good. They also had a barley wine that I liked, which was amazing, because I just did a barley wine review on the Polish beer, Comus, the barley wine, which I thought was good for a barley wine, but still a bit too much for me. The barley wine I had yesterday was money. I quite liked it. It's probably the first barley wine I've ever enjoyed. I should have bought a can of that and did a review too. But it was a pretty awesome experience. Again, got to see all the artwork. They had some folks. One of the beers they actually collaborated with a haunted house, which is a first for me. I've never heard of that. And the folks from the haunted house actually came in costume and were running around the brewery. And it was, you know, I don't know, it was a pretty good day altogether. So thrilled to be able to try the beer. Congratulations, Aistear. I hope you guys last another 4 or 5 years or longer. Keep going. And I look forward to AistearCon next year. So the Blob, big thumbs up. Super good beer. I'm going to have to sip this one, though, because when you get a proper sour, you can't just throw it down, right? This is something you got to savor, relax, enjoy. It's a nice, cool day here. I'm finally done with summer and all the heat. So this is perfect for me. Chill in the beer shed, enjoy the Blob, and we'll see what else I got in the fridge. So for me, the Blob, big thumbs up. Hopefully you liked the video. If you do, give me a thumbs up, hit that like button. And again, you got any comments or questions, jump in below. I'd ask if you had this, but probably not. because there's 0 check-ins anywhere. Now, if you live in the BG area, and I know we do have a couple people out there, Greg and some others that are viewers live in that area, let me know if you guys have had this. You know, I'd like to see what you think about it. For me, this is classic. This is almost on par with some of those nice Belgian sours, man. These guys did a really good job. So, hey, till next time, cheers.